along with his plenary expansions, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Saṅkarṣaṇa. Purport: according to Pancharatra, Narayan is the primeval cause of all expansions of Godhead. These are Vāsudeva, Saṅkarṣaṇa, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Vāsudeva and Saṅkarṣaṇa are on the middle, left and right. Pradyumna is on the right side of Saṅkarṣaṇa and Aniruddha is on the left side of Vāsudeva. Thus, the four deities are situated. They are known as the four aides de camp of Lord Sri Krishna. This is a Vedic hymn or mantra beginning with Onkar, Pranava. Thus, the mantra is established by the transcendental chanting process, namely Om, Namo, Dhīmahi, etc. The purport is that any transaction, either in the field of fruitive work or in empiric philosophy, which is not ultimately aimed at transcendental realization of the Supreme Lord, is considered to be useless. Narad ji has therefore explained the nature of unalloyed devotional service by his personal experience in the development of intimacy between the Lord and the living entity by a gradual process of progressive devotional activities. Such a progressive march of transcendental devotion for the Lord culminates in the attainment of loving service of the Lord, which is called prema in different transcendental variegatedness, called rasas, tastes. Such devotional service is also executed in mixed forms, namely mixed with fruitive work or empiric philosophical speculations. Now the question which was raised by the great rishis headed by Shonak. Can you put a mat for Mataji? Somewhere there, I don't know. Yeah. Now the question which was raised by the great rishis headed by Shonak regarding the confidential part of Suta's achievement through the spiritual master is explained. Yeah, a little behind. Okay, let us see it. Hare Krishna. Achievement through the spiritual master is explained herein by the chanting of the hymn. Now the question which was raised by the great rishis headed by Shonak regarding the confidential part of Suta's achievement through the spiritual master is explained herein by the chanting of this hymn, consisting of 33 letters. And this mantra is addressed to the four deities or the Lord with his plenary expansions. The central figure is Lord Sri Krishna because the plenary portions are his aides de camp. The most confidential part of the instruction is that one should always chant and remember the glories of the Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his different plenary portions expanded as Vāsudeva, Saṅkarṣaṇa, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. These expansions are the original deities for all other truths, namely either Vishnu Tattva or Shakti Tattvas. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om namo bhagavate tubhyaṁ vāsudevāya dhīmahi pradyumnāyāniruddhāya saṅkarṣaṇāya cha. Translation: let us all chant the glories of Vāsudeva along with his plenary expansions, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Saṅkarṣaṇa. This is a verse taken from other part of the Vedas, which is glorifying the Chaturvyuha. We understand, Chaturvyuha. Chaturvyuha expands, first Krishna expands to Balaram. From Balaram comes the Chaturvyuha, the first Chaturvyuha. Then from Saṅkarṣaṇa, second Chaturvyuha. And these are the personalities. And they've been described as the four aides de camp of Lord Sri Krishna. Aide de camp means, it's a military term. If you have a general or someone in command, they are assisting him. a very senior military person, and he has his assistants to carry out his mission. So they are helping Krishna in his mission. Krishna doesn't need help, but anyway, they're helping him. And anyway, they are expansions of Krishna. So, for example, for administering the material world, that's one. Also, when he descends for his Leela, they also come. In Chaitanya Leela, all four of them came in different forms. In Dwarka Leela, they were there. Vrindavan is Vrindavan. That's Vishnu forms were not involved. After, it was just Krishna, Balaram involved, and close devotees. So it says that the most confidential part of this mantra instruction is that one should, where is it written? 1 second. The most confidential part of the instruction is that one should always chant and remember the glories of Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vedas, many people who are following the Vedas may not be doing this. They'll be following different things. You can all hear me, yeah? Fan's not too loud. You can hear. Okay, fine. So everyone is practicing different things within Vedic culture. They could be in the Vedas, but worshipping different personalities. They are not chanting Hari now. They are not chanting. And in many cases, we won't tell them maybe. If they are not somehow devotional, or we'll start with introducing about Krishna, and you're not the soul, you're not the body, you're the soul. We'll speak about Krishna. We won't tell them directly to chant, because many people are not on the platform, or they'll blaspheme. Prabhupada begins with, whenever someone meets him, a new person, you're not the body, you're the soul. Start on that level. Then gradually he speaks about other things. So within the Vedas, there are different paths. People are following Karma Kand, Upasana Kand, Jnana Kand, and then Upasana Kand, which is worship of demigods, which is given in the Vedas, culminates in worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, finally, at the end. So those who are on these stages, if they follow, they'll come to this stage. But within the Vedas, it's mentioned in many places that the most powerful form, the most confidential instructions, the essence of all instruction is that we have to chant and glorify Krishna and his names, qualities, pastimes. This is the highest instruction. By following this instruction, one gets liberated. But people don't know what's liberation, even other parts of the Vedas. Vedavada Rataha, they attach to the mantra portions, just chanting different prayers and getting material benefits. They are not aware. But the highest, most confidential part is to remember Krishna by chanting his glories, or Vishnu. Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Vismartavya na jatu chit. Sarva vidhi nishedasyu etayo eva kinkara. That means, always, two instructions. Always remember Krishna. Smartavya satatam Vishnu. Second instruction, don't forget Krishna or Vishnu. Vismartavya na jatu chit. Sarva vidhi nishedasyu etayo eva kinkara. All the instructions and regulations and prohibitions in the Vedas are servants of these two rules. So whatever instructions anyone is following, we should understand that they have to culminate in this point. Sarva vidhi nishedasyu etayo eva kinkara. They are servants. Means they are just to bring the person to that point. Why is it described as confidential? There is namaprad. Namaprad number 9 is Ashradadhane vimukhe peshinvati yashtravadesha shivanamaprad. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name, Shivanamaprad, or the auspicious names, we don't tell people generally, because they'll blaspheme, they'll question, because they're on different platform, they're on material platform. They'll not understand when we speak these topics, and they'll refute it or rubbish it, and it's not good for them. So we can't tell everyone about it. It is confidential, very confidential. How many people are coming on spiritual platform? But Vedanta Sutra says, Anavriti Shabdat, liberation from material consciousness will come from sound, transcendental sound. We are in this material existence, in material consciousness. It's a very unfortunate, tragic circumstance. We were in a pure spiritual consciousness, but we came to this situation. How to come out? Transcendental sound, vibration. Vedanta says. It didn't say what it is. Now we understand here that the Vedas were revealed, creation happened. Now this mantra has come. Golokera Premadana, Harinam Sankirtana. The treasure of divine love of Goloka has come in this form. Now it's so great, it's so amazing that people won't believe it. It's so, how can it be? Just by chanting, I'll get the treasure of divine love of Goloka. How can that be? But it's there, Shastra says it. Acharyas are saying. When Srila Prabhupada was going to the West, he was on the ship. They docked at Boston Harbor for immigration, checking passport. Then they went back on the ship and went to wherever they're going to stop. He had a chance, he looked. And then he wrote a poem titled Markin Bhagavad Dharma. What's Markin? Huh? America in Bengali. Markin Bhagavad Dharma. Spreading Bhagavad Dharma in America. So then he wrote the prayer which was like an outpouring of his soul. What were his thoughts? My thoughts are there. His thoughts were that, Krishna, I'm seeing these people, how will they be delivered? I'm just seeing them. How? How are they going to practice this? And what we've heard about them, and now I'm seeing, how is this possible? And I don't know, you brought me here, so I'm going to do it, but how will it work? Then he said, actually it will work by Bhagavatam. If the sound enters their ear, it will work, whoever they are, whatever they are. Then he said some prayer. He quoted, actually within that song, he quoted a few verses from Bhagavatam. And these verses, they give what is the effect of Bhagavatam. Same verses, they come in chapter 7, text 1 of Bhagavad Gita. You know what verses I'm talking about in the purport? You know? You know that? Chapter 7, text 1, Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, you know. So anyway, there are 4 verses taken from Bhagavatam quoted there. They also came in the song of Prabhupada. Prabhupada repeats them again and again. So these verses come in Canto 1, Chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. They are giving the systematic effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, which means reading also. Hearing and reading, reading is extension of hearing. Vedas don't say anywhere that if you read this effect will happen, if you read, because Vedas were not read. Only now, we fallen souls cannot get knowledge by hearing. We cannot get, we have to read, and we cannot remember anything, so everything is written. But wherever it says hear, hearing, you can substitute reading also. Hearing is good, but reading. So reading Bhagavatam, what is the effect? Hearing Bhagavatam. So it says, now these verses are there. Out of these, it says Canto 1, Chapter 2, text 17. Shinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtane Hirdayantasto hi abadani vidhunoti suhritsatam. And Prabhupada translates this, that Sri Krishna, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and benefactor of the truthful devotee. Benefactor comes from the word benefit. Who will benefit the truthful devotee? A devotee who is sincere. He joined the movement. He said, I want to be purified. and he's truthful in the sense sincere that this is what I want, I don't have any other desire. Ar nahi mano, ar nahi koro mane asha. There is no other desire, just to attain perfection. So what happens? He cleanses desires for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages. What is pulling us away from surrendering to Krishna? They are bondages, they are chains tying us to enjoy this body and this world. We want to go to Krishna, we are bound up by these desires, vasan, deep desire for material enjoyment. They are holding us back. Otherwise we can chant, we can read, but we're not able to because these things are holding us back. So, desire for material enjoyment. We said, it was yesterday, that for changing our desire, how is it possible to change our desire? People desire so many things other than Krishna, and if you say don't do it, you cannot. It's so far difficult. People struggle. Just to give up a cigarette, people struggle. Just to whatever, have tea or coffee, people struggle hard. But changing the desire, it says, actually Krishna can do that. How? Just by hearing. Not only hearing, it says here, Shrinvatam. What is the word to a translation? Shrinvatam. What is Shrinvatam? What is Shravan? Hearing. Shrinvatam? Huh? No, it says here, develop the urge to hear. If Krishna sees that this person is keen to hear about me, he's developed that urge. That is Shrinvatam, Svakata Krishna. One who's keen, I want to hear. So that in that consciousness, what happens? Krishna purifies us. Why? Because Krishna gives what we want. If someone wants to hear, then they'll not be able to really get the benefit if they're not pure, isn't it? I'm hearing Bhagavatam or Gita, but it's not acting and I'm not understanding. Why? Because of desires for material enjoyment. The coverings are there. So Krishna realizes he wants to hear or he wants to read. I'll help him understand. He purifies the heart so that we can capture the message properly. So just by hearing, Krishna will purify, then we'll get the message. As I mentioned many times, Prabhupada said, even if you don't understand the language, but you sit down, just the Bhagavatam is being spoken. And I also mentioned how in Vrindavan, many years ago, we sat down for a lecture, and I was there, it was 2004, and His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was giving a class. I was sitting, everyone sat down, some 2,000, almost, 50 buses, no, 50 people, 20 buses. Yeah, 2,500 people. Some different parts of Vraja will sit and hear class, and all surrounding people will just come and sit. And the mother will bring the child and sit. All Brajbasis, they don't know English, but they'll sit and just hear. So Prabhupada said, we'll get the benefit even if we don't understand the language. So when we desire to hear, Krishna will purify so that we can hear properly and advance. Desire is there. Shrinvatam. So what happens? The dirt in the heart is removed. Then we can hear properly and get the taste. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, one cannot enter the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. Where does it says in the Bhagavad Gita? What is the corresponding verse? No. Okay. You know it? Corresponding verse. That one cannot really begin bhakti till one is cleared of sins. Okay, you know it? Yeah. See. Janam punya karma te dvandva mohena bhajite mam ananya bhama. Yeah, one can worship me without deviation, with unadulterated. How? When the sins are gone, our sinful desires and reactions are removed. But don't worry, when you do bhakti, that's destroyed gradually till you come to the form of pure bhakti. One cannot enter kingdom of God unless you're cleared of all sins. When we perform bhakti, this happens. But especially if one is performing bhakti and constantly hearing Shravan, it's very powerful. It's very deep. So much so that out of 9 forms of bhakti, we say Shravanam is first. Actually, Shravanam is the root of, and it nourishes all other forms. If you want to do Kirtan, you want to do Archan, everything, but that is nourished by Shravanam. If we don't do Shravanam, it's different, it's not the same. Okay, so this is the power. This is the message. So now I was talking about these verses. Here it is, Shinvatam Sukata Krishna. So now, next verse, Nashta Prayashu Abadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in the classes on Bhagavatam. Now here it says Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Prabhupada translated like this. Regular attendance on Bhagavatam. Because very often Prabhupada gives within the verse you can say a purport also, or a specific translation which we are meant to understand for us, which is required. So here he says, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established. So now it says, we spoke about how one who desires to hear Srimad Bhagavatam is purified. So the principle is given here. What is the principle? The principle is that when one regularly is in touch with Bhagavatam, and or Bhagavat could be a personality, serving a personality, then everything troublesome in the heart is destroyed, and loving devotional service it appears. Bhaktir bhavati. Bhavati. Bhakti is born in the heart by hearing about Supreme. When we hear, it's not that we are hearing something new. Now, something new is coming in our mind, heart, and we're hearing, but it's something we knew, but we forgot. There, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sada Kabunaya Shravan Adi Shuddhe Chite Kare Uday. This means that the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sada Kabunaya, it's not something that we are sadhya, teaching, like someone will learn. Someone has to learn cricket. How? Okay, lift the bat like this, hit the ball like that, put your leg like this. Teaching. We are not teaching. Actually, it's not that. Sadhya kabunaya, shravanadi shuddhe chite kare uday. Uday means arisen, awaken. Actually, what is happening is, when we hear about Krishna, we are remembering. It's a form of reminding, because all this knowledge was in all of us. It's our original state of being. This is artificial. This is not a reality. It's not real. It's not sat, in the sense it will end. This arrangement, I have this body in this planet, in this family, in this is temporary. But what is eternal? What is eternal is the relation to Krishna, where he follows us, even in the body of a cockroach, mosquito. Paramatma is there, flying with you. He is not going. At the funeral pyre, after you're burnt, everyone will go. And you'll go on. When you go on, who goes with you? No one goes, but Paramatma goes. Krishna will go. That is Sat. So now we have to come on platform of Sat, understanding, and this will come by constantly hearing Bhagavatam. When we hear Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome in the heart is destroyed. Envy, anger, greed, lust. This is very disturbing. There's a devotee called Manidhar. He's a Prabhupada disciple. You know him? Manidhar. He's a book distributor. He gave many lectures on book distribution. We used to hear. He says many things. His writings are very nice. Deep realization. He distributed books many years in difficult circumstances. And then he was temple president in Germany for certain temples. So he said that, you see, he saw many devotees come to the movement and change. How? He said, how does their mind change? Because the face changes. Face is index of the mind. And he said, and when those become disturbed again, you can see again. He said, no, he didn't say in context of devotees. He said that karmis, when they come, and there's a group of devotees, and there's a karmi, you can tell he's not taken. Why? Because he's so disturbed. Why? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, all these things are in the heart. They're in the heart, but you can never satisfy them. This is what makes them morose. And then among devotees, they're so peaceful. Why? Because these things are not there. There's nothing to act on. Of course, we're not pure devotees. But why are people so morose? Why are karmis morose? Because they cannot fulfill their desires. What is one way to get out of that conundrum where you have so many desires you cannot fulfill, so you're upset? One is fulfill them, try hard, so you become peaceful. But it won't happen. It's a myth. It's mythology. Fulfill your material. You cannot do that. So what is another way? Another way is don't consider them, ignore. How will you ignore? Well, we are thinking to be happy I'll fulfill the desire. But you get happy another way, through accepting the messages of Krishna in the ear, and that will give a happiness such that you will not think of that. And gradually you hear more, it removes all those desires. Here it says, Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavate seva. All these hidden things in the heart are destroyed just by regularly hearing. And Prabhupada says in the purport, it should be noted that by such sincere association of the Bhagavat, one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily. How is it easy to attain transcendental knowledge? People do tapasya 10,000 years. How long did Valmiki do tapasya? 10,000, 60,000 years. To get divya gyan, brahma gyan, people do a lot in the past. They did a lot of tapasya, austerities, penances. But we are given this book, which was not there before. It's like a joke. Fallen souls of Kali are getting the highest of the Vedas. How did that happen? Why did it happen? Krishna only knows. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knows. But one is sure to receive transcendental knowledge very easily through Bhagavatam. We see how people come from what backgrounds, west of India, and then they become so knowledgeable and pandits. You see in Mayapur, there in Ministry of Deity Worship, you see these people from the west, and so perfect in the execution, Suchi-Muchi principles in deity worship, and then in the dhams they are worshipping the deities very nicely. So very easily one receives transcendental knowledge by hearing Bhagavatam and becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord. We are so fortunate. Prabhupada made it our sadhana to hear Bhagavatam. In other sampradayas they'll stop you. Why are you hearing Bhagavatam? It's for Paramahamsas. We were told once, we were discussing on Bhagavatam, they said, don't speak about that. This is for Paramahamsas. We are not meant to speak Bhagavatam. So they cannot hear. But then Sudha Goswami is praying. Yes, he says, Yasan Saramekam Adhyatma Deepam Atitirshatam Tamoandham Samsarinam Karunaya Purana Guhyam. That Shukadeva Goswami, he compiled this Bhagavatam for who? Samsarinam Karunaya Purana Guhyam. He compiled this confidential knowledge for the Samsarinam, those who are in material existence and who are suffering. Atitir Shatam Tamo Andham, they're in darkness. They don't know in this material world, what to do, how to be happy, which direction to go, how to get peace, everything's given. So it's meant for them. So we are so fortunate. Now, when the steps are outlined, that when we hear Bhagavatam, these things are destroyed in the heart, gradually we get bhakti, but still the guna remains, till quite a stage. Till quite a later stage, the tri-guna is there in the heart. Practically till bhav, these gunas are there. So here the next verse is tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayaschaye cheter eter anavidham stitvam sattve prasidati. As soon as the devotional service appears in the heart, just like when the sun is rising, there's darkness. Even the sun didn't rise, just the time is approaching. I think even something like, we say 48 minutes before, because the Sandhya Kal starts 48 minutes before sunrise. So that's the time when things start to change in the atmosphere. Influence of the sun comes, but the sun didn't come yet. So similarly, before bhakti comes, even when there's a very distant trace, it destroys a lot of inauspiciousness and in the heart. So then here it says, now when bhakti actually comes, so then what happens? All these sinful reactions are destroyed, we become peaceful and all that. But as bhakti starts to come in a very serious way, then the effect of passion and ignorance, the lower modes, and their effect such as lust, desire and hankering disappear. When bhakti appears fully, it's like the sun. Imagine sun were to come here, it will burn everything. Everything will become fire. So it will burn up the whole subtle body. We will not have a subtle body. But rather what happens, the spiritual body which is covered begins to manifest. If we go on, it fully manifests. Only when it's fully manifest can we enter Goloka. Partially, no, it won't be possible. But if the subtle body is destroyed, then one comes out of the cycle of birth and death. But it won't be fully destroyed till if you're doing bhakti. Spiritual body manifests, subtle body is destroyed. When the spiritual body is fully manifest, that means no more sinful reactions. Subtle body is not there. So then what happens? The devotee is established in goodness. Stitvam sattve prasidati. Then he becomes happy. This is how to be happy. Stitvam sattve prasidati. Prasidati. Fully satisfied. Definition: fully satisfied. He becomes completely happy. Prabhupada writes, when bhakti has come and the rajo and the guna has gone from our heart. So now, if one wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead in truth, Lord Shiva in this Daksha Yajna section in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that he sees the Lord face to face. Why? He says because Supreme Lord, he is known as Vāsudeva. Now how does it start? Supreme Lord is known as Vāsudeva because another definition of Vāsudeva is not having any guna, full in sattva guna. I forgot anyway. So, and then he said, Sattve chatasmin Bhagavan Vāsudevo yat iyate tata Bhagavan apavritam. Apavrita means without any covering. I am able to see the Lord directly without covering. I don't have any cover. Why? Because the Supreme Lord is in a Shuddha Sattva state and I am also in a Shuddha Sattva state. So I am able to see Him. So now one becomes free from these effects by constantly reading or hearing Bhagavatam. Prabhupada put it that we hear every day. So now what happens? He says, Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogata bhagavad tattva vijnana mukta sangasya jayate. When one is established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, unalloyed means no mixture of rajagun tamal, then such a man whose mind is enlivened with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. At that stage he is completely liberated. Then he will not again fall victim to material energy once you reach that stage. So it says here, by enlivened by contact. So Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, positive scientific knowledge of the Lord we can get at that stage. So we had to be free from the mind. Now in these steps, this is Srila Prabhupada wrote these verses to invoke this teaching, that he says, how am I going to purify them? How will I purify? Then he quoted these verses. Yes, I'll speak Bhagavatam. And it's very noticeable that when Srila Prabhupada came, he brought the first canto, which he had translated in 3 volumes, nothing else. And from those books came the revolution that changed. The revolution started there, it's going on, it's changing everything, just by the Bhagavad. So similarly, we have to spread this knowledge. It looks difficult sometimes, you have to change a place or a people, and they're so tough and they're addicted to bad habits. But if we spread the books will preach very powerfully. Then they'll come looking for you. Adaushada tata sadhu sangha. Where is ISKCON? Where are the people? We have to give the knowledge. Of course, some are not that pure. We have to come and call them. Did you read the book? No. Did you read? No. Did you read? Yes. Now come for the program. Now chant. We have to tell them. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki